back to another episode of EOD Talks. In our previous episode, we did a conversation with the convener of OJS. So it was only natural that for the next one, we have the convener of Sprint with us. Welcome, Anuj. So we will begin with the questioning. There are a lot of questions that I understand our public wants to know from the convener of Sprint, so we'll just dive in. So Anuj, to begin with, can you explain what your role as a convener entails?
I still remember the first time I spoke to last year's convener asking him what am I actually supposed to do as the convener, and I didn't get an answer. And then I sat in the KT sessions of all verticals, and then I asked him again, and he said, this is your job. Like, you're basically supposed to do everything. It's not a single role. You have to work in CNM, you have to work in events, logistics, sponsorship. You'll have to do man management, everything. So there's no set description of what a convener does, but it's more or less an amalgamation of the entire fest or all the verticals and the organizing team.
Makes sense. So what about the event? So I understand that our public is well aware of what Sprint is, but if there is some people who are still not aware of what Sprint is, can you just give a brief description of what Sprint is?
So Sprint is India's #1 B-School Sports Fest, and it has a history of 17 years, and we are glad to carry that on. And so this edition, I think it was very special for all of us. First, at least for me, because I have not been a part of fests before. I did have an experience in event management, but college fest was something that was completely new to me. So I was very much excited, and I would like to think that there are a lot of other people like me who are part of the organizing team or would be a part of the attendance, basically the people who are going to be at the fest. So I believe that is something that they would get to experience for the first time.
Okay. What about the theme? Is there any special theme this year, and how did you come up with that theme?
Right. So this year's theme for Sprint is Arena of Aries. So I'll just take you back to the discussion that we had. So in the core team, Jayant, my deputy convener, and I, we were just talking about this, and I spoke about how I believe sports are synonymous to battles, because you've seen the passion that goes into sports, the way people play, the intensity, the fights that they have, and I could just relate that to battle, and that's what we communicated to the team. So I remember this was a 2-hour meeting with the entire events team. We gave them that this was the base idea that we had, but we want the theme to come from the team. We had a few ideas, and Arena of Aries was something that we settled on. And not initially, to be honest. It was a core team discussion where a lot of us were kind of against it, but there was one person, Abhishu, who's my events lead, he was dead set on this. He's like, this has to be our theme, and eventually he was able to convince all of us. And that's how it became Arena of Aries. So Aries is the god of war or the god of battle, and that's the kind of emotion that we want to put into Sprint this year.
That's really interesting. So it's a huge event, right? You said it's the biggest B-School sports fest.
Right.
What are some of the challenges that you think you have faced so far in organizing an event on this scale?
I think the initial challenge that most of us would have faced was doing an event on this scale. Like I said, I have experience in event management. It was never at this scale where there were more than 1,500 participants actually. Footfall of 10,000, because we have 4 different colleges inside the campus and from outside as well. So on this scale, it was pretty new to us. So it took a learning curve for me. I had to understand how do I extrapolate the abilities that I have to make a bigger impact. So that, and apart from that, I'd say man management is something, you really learn that, because handling a team of 110 is not as simple as it looks, and that could spread over 4 verticals. I always made sure that I attended most of the meetings, and I told my organizing members not to think of me as a convener, but as a fellow organizing member working at the same level. Because at the end of the day, their work matters more than mine. If they don't give me the kind of output that we want, there's no point me being the convener, because I'll not be able to give the results.